In today's analysis, we're looking at something so fundamental, it completely outranks astrology, horoscopes, planetary alignments, the whole shebang. We spend so much time looking out at the stars to figure out our fate, but the ultimate controller of your life is actually happening right under your nose. Literally. I'm talking about your breath. According to ancient texts, whatever spatial influences you might be stressed about, they all pale in comparison to the science of your own breath. Today we're exploring the Shiva swaroday Tantra. It's an ancient framework that claims your breath doesn't just, keep you alive, it dictates your success, your digestion, your focus, and your ultimate reality.
But before we go any further into the theory, I want you to physically check this with me right now. Seriously, break away from whatever else you're doing for just a second. Take your finger, block your right nostril, and exhale through your left. Feel the airflow? Okay, now switch. Block your left nostril and exhale through your right. Notice a difference? For sure, one of those nostrils is flowing way more freely than the other. So, which nostril is active for you right now? Keep that in mind, because what that means for your current physical and mental state is absolutely going to blow your mind.
Okay, let's dive into this. What you just tested is the foundation of Swara Vignan, the ancient science of breath. And the lore behind this is just fascinating. This knowledge is said to have been taught directly by Lord Shiva to goddess Parvati, specifically so that we as human beings could learn to control our breath and become victorious in literally every single aspect of life. In the Vedas, prana, that vital life force carried by your breath, is considered a physical manifestation of Brahma, the ultimate reality. So we're not just talking about oxygen here, it's about channeling universal energy.
Section 1. Sun and Moon Nadis. Let's get right into it.
All right, let's break down the actual mechanics of your energy channels, or nadis. You've got to stop thinking of your nose as just one single intake valve and start seeing it as a dual control system. Here's the practical breakdown. Your right nostril connects to the Surya Nadi, or the sun channel. That generates heat. The left nostril connects to the Chandra Nadi, the moon channel, which generates coolness and calm. So let's look at a typical day. When you sit down to eat, check your breath. If your right nostril, the Surya Nadi, is active, your body's producing heat and your food is going to digest perfectly. If the left is active, your digestion might actually struggle. And here's a super surprising fact. Have you ever noticed how physical laborers often grunt when they're doing really heavy lifting? That forceful exhalation naturally forces the Surya Nadi to open, instantly giving them the heat and physical power they need for hard labor. On the flip side, if you're sitting down for an exam or doing quiet, deep focus work, you want that Chandra Nadi, the left nostril, to be running the show.
Now, what's really interesting here is that you aren't just a passive victim to whichever nostril happens to be open at the time. You can actually hack the system. Let's say you just ate a huge meal, but your left nostril is active. That means your digestion is going to be super sluggish. So what do? You use this incredibly simple technique. You just press firmly into your left underarm for about 2 minutes. Or simply block your left nostril and force a few breaths through the right. This instantly triggers your nervous system to switch the active flow over to the right nostril, activating that Surya Nadi. It's a massive, super practical life hack to fix your digestion on the spot, or immediately prep your body for hard physical work.
The Shiva swaroday Tantra even gives us specific rules for something as simple as leaving the house. It's all about aligning our everyday physical actions with this ancient wisdom. So check your breath right before you walk out your front door. If your left nostril, the Chandra, is active, you should inhale right as your foot crosses the threshold. But if your right nostril, the Surya, is active, you should exhale as you step out. And the text suggests that if you maintain this awareness and that exact same nostril is still actively flowing by the time you reach your office or your destination, you are mathematically guaranteeing an auspicious, highly successful day. How cool is that?
Now, you might be wondering, why does simply changing the way we breathe out of our nose change our external reality? Well, it all comes back to this profound Vedic principle, Yada Brahmande Tatha Pinde. As is the universe, so is the body. The macrocosm is perfectly reflected right there in the microcosm. By gaining control over your breath, you aren't just controlling your lungs, You're literally learning to control the very elements of the universe that operate inside of you.
Which brings us to Section 2, 5 elements in your breath.
So, if the universe is inside us, that means the fundamental building blocks of the universe are also right there inside our breath. Let's uncover these hidden elements operating right under your nose. According to the texts, your breath isn't just plain old air. It's constantly cycling through the 5 foundational elements: earth, fire, air, space, and water. And the absolutely crucial point here is that if you can master your breath, you can actually identify and consciously change which element is currently dominating your physical and mental state.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how you can diagnose those elements yourself. Seriously, you can figure out which element is active just by feeling the physical characteristic of your exhale. For example, if the force of your breath can be felt at a distance of 12 fingers away from your face, the earth element is active. If the breath feels like it's brushing right up against the edges of your nose, that's fire. If it flows directly down the middle, perfectly balanced, that's air. If the breath feels incredibly light and barely perceptible, space is active. And if you notice yourself feeling physically thirsty while breathing, the water element is dominating. It's literally a built-in diagnostic tool.
Moving right along to Section 3, linking breath, senses, and space.
Now we're going to connect the dots between your internal breath, your physical body, and the actual physical space you live in. This is where it gets incredibly deep. The Vedas and Puranas state that these 5 elements form the foundation of your body, right? And they're directly hardwired to your sense organs. Space is linked to your ears, fire to your eyes, air to your skin, water to your tongue, and earth to your nose. But here's the real revelation. If you develop a physical problem in one of these specific sense organs, the ancient texts say it directly points to a vastu dosha, an architectural imbalance or energy flaw of that exact element in your physical house. Think about that. If you master your swara, your breath, your own body will literally act like an antenna, telling you exactly what is wrong with the energy of the environment you're living in.
Section 4, Mastering Nadi Shodhana. Let's slow things down a bit. So how do we actually take all this profound theory and turn it into a grounded daily practice? Honestly, it takes just 10 minutes. That is all it takes. The texts promise that dedicating just 10 minutes a day to Nadi Shodhana pranayama will actively increase your lifespan. Why? Because according to this science, your life isn't measured in years. It's measured by a finite, predetermined count of breaths. By slowing and controlling the breath, you are literally stretching out your allotted time on this earth.
Here is the exact routine you need. Step 1. Start with Kapalbhati. That's a forceful exhalation technique to clear the channels. Step 2. Move right into Anulom Vilom, which is alternate nostril breathing. Step 3, and this is the absolutely crucial rule, always start the sequence by inhaling through the left nostril and end the entire sequence by exhaling through the left nostril. The breaths must be deep, long, and above all, quiet. In fact, the specific detail given is that the breath must be so smooth and so silent that if someone were sitting right next to you, they wouldn't even hear you breathing.
And listen, this isn't just some modern wellness trend. It is deeply rooted in ancient scriptural authority. In the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva, Praninam Dehamashrita, which translates to the divine existing as the fire of digestion within the bodies of all living beings. The verse continues, explaining that by mingling with the inward and outward breaths, the prana and apana, it digests the 4 kinds of food. The core message here, balancing your prana and apana, your inward and outward energy, essentially fixes everything in the physical body. It's a total reset.
So, what's your ultimate takeaway from all of this? What should you actually start doing today? Well, here's your new daily routine, totally distilled from the Shiva Swaroday Tantra. First, check your swara, check which nostril is active the absolute very moment you step out of bed. Second, intentionally activate your Surya Nadi, your right nostril, before you bathe and before you eat to generate that vital heat. And third, practice 10 minutes of deep, completely quiet, alternate nostril breathing. The texts tell us that mastering Swara brings siddhi, absolute perfection, just as it did for the ancient sages. I promise you, once you unlock this, you'll never look back.
We've covered the mechanics of the sun and moon channels, the 5 elements flowing through you, and the daily practices to harmonize them all. But I want to leave you with this final thought. If the entire universe truly exists within your own body, and your breath is the architect of that universe, what will you build with your next breath? Take a deep one. We'll see you in the next explainer.